Wantage and Grove, U3A.
The film group meets once a month and shows a democratically selected film to an audience of 20 to 30 U3A members in the Grove Parish Hall. The film is projected onto the screen and the sound relayed through the hall sound system and hearing loop. Films are played from a DVD player, or streamed from Netflix, or rented from Google's YouTube. The U3A keeps an extensive library of DVDs in the second down drawer of the filing cabinet at the back of the rightmost cupboard in the hall. This cabinet is kept locked, so a small key is required to open it. The DVD is played in a DVD player, and instructions on how to set this up appear later in this film. DVDs may be bought new or second-hand, borrowed from a U3A member, or even borrowed from the public library. We're going to use Netflix to find a film for us that we can watch in the film group. Now, the thing about Netflix is you don't purchase or rent a film in isolation. Netflix is a streaming service and you pay a monthly subscription to be able to see all of their content. So if the film you want is in Netflix, then you need somebody with a Netflix account to log in for you. Now, on this U3A computer, right in the top right-hand corner, there is an icon saying Netflix, and I've double-clicked that. That is to say, I have clicked the left-hand button in quick succession. That's called a double-click. I've clicked it twice. When we get into Netflix, it's actually logging into my Netflix account, and it's one that's shared with my family. The one that you want to go, when it says who's watching, we'll just say Granny and Grandad. So just click that. Okay, to make the thing go up and down, I'm using the scroll wheel here. There's a little wheel on the mouse, and you can put it backwards and forwards to move up and down.
No, I'm live. It's just a drink.
Now, the thing is, we're going to be. You could watch anything. That's everything here is available to you, and it doesn't cost because there's a monthly subscription going on. It's part of my family subscription. So if you want to watch a film, then if you go look at the top menu here, there is an icon saying films, and you can choose by by genre, or you can just look through the list of what's going on. The main thing here is that there's a search button. Can you see there the little magnifying glass? And if I click that, then I can type what I'm looking for. So a film that we saw recently was called The Dig. And there we are. And if you wanted to watch The Dig, then
Should we take a look at them then?
then you just click on that icon, and then the film will start for you. To make it full screen, you click on this full screen icon, and then you can watch the film. Once again, you can move about in the film. There are no issues with Netflix on the length of time that you've got to watch it. With YouTube, you are obliged to watch the film within 48 hours of starting to watch it. With Netflix, you can watch the films as long as you like, back to back, wall to wall, all day long. And at the end, you just close the window down and then close the computer down as normal. We're going to rent a film through YouTube, which is a division of Google. So for YouTube, which is Google's way of setting up videos that you can watch, mostly they're free. But if it's a film, which is obviously what we're going to do in the film club, then you can buy or you can rent the film. So YouTube requires a Google account, and we've set one up for the film group. It's called filmgroup.u3a in Wantage and Grove at gmail.com. That's our email address, and that's our Google account. And what we have to do is to associate a credit card with that account so that we can buy these films. You can only buy them with credit cards. And then we can find them and rent them in YouTube. So let's go through that process now. So to find YouTube, it's this little red icon down here. That's the YouTube icon. It's red with a little sort of white play button in it. So we'll click on that to get into YouTube. And as far as the film group is concerned, it already knows it's associated our film group email address. That's our Google account with YouTube. So it knows who we are. It knows who we are and it knows what we're watching. So let's search for a film. Well, I'm actually going to search here for my favourite film, which is 2001, A Space Odyssey. And that's actually quite a simple thing to search for because there aren't too many films with 2001 in. So when I click on that, then YouTube offers me all that it's got on 2001 A Space Odyssey, and there's quite a lot, and you can watch little clips for free and so on. But here is the actual film that lasts for 2 hours, 28 minutes and 48 seconds. And I could buy or rent it. This afternoon, we're going to watch a film called Judy. Now, Judy is a much more difficult thing to search for because the word Judy appears in so many contexts within YouTube that really, in order to find what we're looking for, I'm just going to add an extra little bit of knowledge that I have about the film, which is that it stars Renee Zellweger. So I'm just going to put Renee in as well, which will help the search. Okay, so this immediately goes. It gives us all sorts of content about Renee Zellweger and the film. But here is the film itself, where we can buy or rent it. So, having found the film that we want to show, we click on Buy or Rent. And we can see here that, well, we can have it for £3.49 in high definition. So that's to rent. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And so what this tells us, and actually this is a very important thing to have in the back of your mind when you're renting a film, that your £3.49 is going to allow you to watch the film as many times as you like. Having made a payment, you've got to start within 30 days and you've got to finish within 48 hours after the first playback. So what this is saying is that you can book your film in advance and pay for it, but remember that the minute you start watching the film, you've got to finish watching it within 48 hours. Now that's fine in the home context, because you might fall asleep and you want to start again, or you might want to watch half tonight and half tomorrow night, as long as you do it within the 48 hours. In the context of the film club, well, we're just going to watch it in one go. So generally speaking, we're going to want to actually pay for the film fairly close to when the film is shown. And in order to pay for it, YouTube is going to want to know how we're going to pay for it. And you can't just type in your card details. You've actually got to associate a credit card with the account. Well, now you might see that as a downside. It is possible to disassociate your credit card details from the Google account, but actually, I mean, I think they're doing it so as to make it relatively easy for you to book films on a regular basis. The next time you do it, then your credit card details will already be known. Yeah, if this is a big no-no for you, well, I mean, this is just the way the world works, isn't it? So I'm going to add a credit card here, and I'm going to type in the details of my card and buy this film. So let's just do that. So that's the number entered, and now I've got to tell it where I live. Okay, so having entered all my personal detail, I simply say pay now. Oh, and actually and Microsoft Edge is asking this, and I don't think I want to do that, so I'm going to say no. That's great. So we purchased the film Judy. And we could start watching it. I mean, I think the thing is, just to remind you, once you start watching it, you've got to finish watching it within 48 hours. Now, we're going to watch this at Film Group this afternoon, so I can start watching it. I think the other thing to say about YouTube is that before I start that, I think I'm going to close it down and then I'm going to start it up again, because when you go into YouTube, there's a menu down the left-hand side of things that you can do, and one of those items is called Your Movies and TV, and when I click it, it knows all about Judy. That's the thing. That's going to be the easiest way of getting back to it once you've purchased it. So I would say purchase in advance, probably on the morning of the, or you could even wait until you get to the hall if you're going to be an hour early. But the thing is, you can't purchase it on your own computer unless you go through all the hoops of changing your logging into the which is possible, logging into your Google account. I mean that is possible, but I don't want to heap complexities into this. It'd be quite nice to have it as a relatively straightforward thing for you. So when you go to your movies and TV, you can see that you've got this. This is a purchased event, and if I click on it, yeah. So it's saying, would you like to start this rental? So I'm going to say yes. Start the rental period because this will all be over by the end of the afternoon, and we've got 48 hours. What you'll notice here is that there is a button here called Full Screen. And that's what you're going to want to show the film. And off we go. So that's what you would do when you get to the hall. Set up the laptop, set up the projector, and then just start the film through YouTube, which you'll recall is the little red icon.
What do you see beyond this wall?
And you can see that the default is to have subtitles, which is just what you want.
What I see is a small town in the Midwest, handful of churches.
To come out of full screen, you just once you've moved the mouse, you get this menu at the bottom.
To do their hair on the holidays.
And you can reduce the size, and you can stop the film. Okay, and to go back to the beginning of the film, just move the red pointer. Right, because you can move all through the film. There you go. And then at the end of the film, just close that window down. Top right hand corner, there's a red cross to close windows down, and then close down the computer as normal. This section of video tells you how to remove your credit card details from the Google account where you rent or buy films. It's probably a good idea not to have your card details stored on a computer which is used by other people. So the way to get your card, you need to store your card details in order to rent the film, but it's fairly easy to remove them after the film is rented. So once again, we go to the YouTube icon, the red icon with the white play button, and this automatically logs us into our Google account, which is this is the account button up here. We are filmgroup.u3a in Wantage Grove at gmail.com, and we can go to the Google account, click that, and then here under payments and subscriptions, you can manage payment methods. And here it's remembered my credit card, which I just used to rent the film Judy. But I don't want my credit card details stored on this computer, so I'm just going to remove it. That's right. That's right. So now we have no payment methods. But that's fine, because we still did our purchase, and we can still watch that film, even though the method of paying for it has now been removed from the account. Whichever source that we choose for the film, we will always be using the projector. Now we have two, but in the main hall we always select the short throw projector, the one that can be very close to the screen. Set up the tables. Always use the smaller tables, one for the projector, and set it up over the crossed tram line on the floor directly in front of the screen. If using the laptop as the film player, then set up a second small table at the side of the first. Now you'll need to lower the screen. Now don't leave the button in the down position. Always return it to its neutral position in the middle once the screen is down. There's no need at this stage to turn on the hall audio system. The projector is kept in the bottom drawer of the filing cabinet in a cardboard carry case. We sometimes call this the box. When the projector is unpacked, release the catch to allow the front leg to drop down. This will leave the projector tilted upwards towards the screen. Remove the plastic cap that covers the lens. And locate the power lead and plug it into the back of the projector. Don't forget to close the curtains at the rear and sides of the hall to keep the light down. The projector is turned on by one depression of the blue lit button on the top of the projector on the left-hand side. Centering the projector is not the easiest thing to do. The short throw, which allows the projector to be placed very near the screen, also means that quite small movements can have a profound effect. It's often better to make small adjustments to the table's position rather than that of the projector. Always try to maintain the projector square on to the screen. There's a slider control just above the lens with which to focus, and if you're standing close to the screen, there's a kind of a squares and lines background upon which the image is projected, which is very easy to see whether it's in focus or not. Powering down the projector is done by a single press of the blue lit power button. The projector will display a message asking you to press the button again, and it will shut down after a few seconds delay. The screen needs to be rolled up again by pressing the rocker switch into its up position. Remember to leave this switch in its middle, neutral position after the screen has returned to the top. Turn off the hall audio system by pressing the red button on the PA control switch. There is never any need to touch the two induction loop controls. We're going to discuss the showing of a film from DVD. This is by far the simplest way to show a film. You will see in the diagram that we have the projector set up with the screen. So the screen is the large blue square at the top of the diagram. Just beneath it are the wall-mounted audio sockets. And then on the table, we've got a projector with a DVD player behind it. So we're going to be talking about how to connect all these things together. The DVD player provides the video signal for the projector. And we can see in the diagram there's a video cable to take that signal from one device to the other. And the DVD player also provides the audio signal through audio cables to the wall-mounted audio sockets. So that's it. The DVD player's in charge here, and it provides the video signal for the projector, and it provides the audio signal for the hall sound system. So to start, plug the power extension into the wall. This is the, the extended plugs. But remember that you won't actually get any power unless you press the orange button on the surge protector plug. That's the bit that goes into the wall. There's a big orange button on it. The back of the projector looks complicated, doesn't it? But in fact, apart from the power cable, you only need to insert one plug into the yellow socket marked video. Here's the cable you use with two yellow plugs which you will use to connect the DVD player to the projector. The back of the DVD player looks complicated too, but the other end of the cable plugs into the yellow socket marked video out. So once that one cable with the two yellow plugs is plugged into both projector and DVD player, then that's all you need to do for video. For the sound, we need to connect the DVD player to the wall sockets. And here's the cable that you'll need for that. One end plugs into the DVD player in the white and red sockets marked audio. And the other end of the cable is plugged into the two audio sockets in the wall. When all of this is connected up, you can now turn on the hall audio system. And to do that, you press the white button on the PA control switch. The induction loop lights up when you do that. But if you were to turn on the hall audio system before setting up and plugging in the DVD player and projector, then that might lead to some unpleasant pops and bangs over the loudspeakers. So do all your setting up and plugging in before turning on the hall audio. The volume of the DVD and the opening of the DVD drawer and the starting of the film, they're all controlled by the DVD handset. At the end of the film, remember to close down the hall audio system by pressing the red button on the PA control switch, and then dismantling everything in the reverse order to the way you set it up. There are three components to the U3A laptop. There's the laptop itself, there's the mouse, and there's the power supply. Whenever you use the U3A laptop, make sure that you're plugged in to the mains power supply. Don't rely on the battery, it'll let you down. There is a little latch at the front of the laptop and it slides to the right. So to open the lid, you just slide the latch and then the lid will open. At the back of the laptop, in bright yellow, is the place where you plug in the power supply. That's the bit of the power supply that you plug in, and that bit goes into the wall, obviously. And for the mouse, there's a little button at the bottom here, which you slide up to turn its power on. You'll be rewarded with a little blue light. To turn on the laptop, there is a button with a white dot in the top right hand corner of the laptop's keyboard. Just give that a press and the laptop will start up. It takes a moment or two for Windows to load. And then when you get to this screen, what you have to do is to get your mouse and just do, that's called a left click, it's the one on the left. What you need to do is just to give a left click, and it will say Wantage and Grove U3A, and it's asking for a pin. And the pin is quite relevant to the U3A in Wantage and Grove. It's 1985, 1985, the year we were formed. And you type that in, and we're in. We're in the laptop. It's opened up. And now what I want to do is to show you how to shut the laptop down. So for that, you need to, if you can see the mouse, the pointer is moving about as I move the mouse. You need to find this Windows button, which is right in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. It's actually called the Start button, but we're going to use it to shut the computer down. So a left click, and then in the resulting menu, there's a power button there. So you give that a left click and you select shut down. And that will shut the computer down at the end of your session when you've finished with it. This is the way you turn it off. And that's it. When the screen goes blank, the laptop is shut down. And you can close the lid. Don't forget to turn the power off on the mouse, otherwise the next time we come in there won't be a working mouse. Unplug the mains and put it all away in the case. When watching a film on Netflix or in YouTube, the DVD player is replaced by the U3A laptop. The laptop, like the DVD player, provides both a video signal to the projector and an audio signal to the hall audio system. We've already covered how the projector is set up and how the laptop is turned on and either Netflix or YouTube are found. So all that's left is to describe the new connections. For the video, the VGA cable with blue plugs at either end is used. Plug one end into the socket marked computer 1, which is top and centre at the rear of the projector. Plug the other end into the appropriate socket on the left side of the laptop. You'll see which plug it is, which socket it is when you look at the plug. The computer screen will then be projected onto the hall screen. For the sound, use the cable with a double audio plug at one end and a phono jack at the other. Plug the phono jack into the small round socket on the left-hand side of the laptop. You'll find that this is right next to the blue VGA video cable that you've just installed. The two audio plugs are inserted into the wall sockets. And now you can turn on the hall audio system. Note that the volume is now controlled by left-clicking on the circle displayed at the bottom of the laptop screen. In order to see this circle, just move the mouse, just move it a little bit, and you'll see a display at the bottom of the screen, which allows you to change the volume. And whilst holding the left click button down, moving the circle to right or left will increase or decrease the volume accordingly. So your volume control is now on the computer. With the DVD, you were using the DVD remote control, but now your volume control is on the computer. And you move the mouse slightly in order to see the control appear at the bottom of the screen. And, as usual, at the end of the film, turn off the hall audio with the red button on the PA control switch and raise the screen. So now we come to the bit of the film about the legality of running a film club. A little while ago, I showed a Netflix film in the hall to the film club, and one of the audience came up to me afterwards and asked if what I'd just done was legal. And I had to answer that in the sense in which the question had been asked, the answer was no. So we'll briefly cover what might be wrong with what we're doing, but so as not to depress you, I'll start with the conclusion. The law does not smile upon what the film club does, but I think the chances of our having to face any consequences are so slight that I'm quite relaxed about it. In order to see what it is that we're doing wrong, we have to look at the small print, which I know is tedious. I've got my crib notes here because it's quite complicated. It's always tedious to look at the small print. So we've always shown films in the hall to an audience of around 30 people, and they pay £2 a head for the privilege, although we might argue that the £2 is for the hire of the hall and the cup of tea and the biscuit afterwards, rather than specifically for the hire of the film. But in the past, the films have been supplied on DVD. But increasingly, we're watching films on Netflix and rented from YouTube. So let's start with the DVDs. Our contribution for the exertions of the filmmaker come from the purchase of a new DVD. And if we buy a DVD second-hand, or we have it donated to us, or we borrow it from the library, then the filmmaker makes nothing. The front cover of the DVD is the bit that we normally look at in order to entice us to view it. And on the back of the DVD, there's some blurb to tell us more about the film and what the age rating might be. And then there's some small print which we never ever read. But it's probably worthwhile having a look at what it says. This DVD and its soundtrack has been licensed for private home use only. Any unauthorized copying, editing, exhibition, renting, lending, public performance, diffusion and/or broadcast of this DVD is strictly prohibited. And it's obvious why this has been written. The manufacturer is keen to get some sort of financial reward for every pair of eyes that views its product. And if we show it to a hall full of people, or lend it to them to watch at home, then we are subverting that aim. Now, the chances of our being caught are very slim. A DVD is an analog device. You know, it's not digitally connected to anybody. It doesn't alert the manufacturer that it's being played, or where, or when. It's almost impossible to know how we acquired the DVD. The crime is almost perfect. But it's a different kettle of fish for digital performances. There, the supplier of the film knows that we're using their streaming service, the date and the time, and even a rough appreciation of the location. And they know all this because they are streaming the film to us via the internet in real time. But they don't mind because they also know that they've been paid. They know who we are, or think they do, because we have an account with them. Netflix is a streaming service. They provide a body of material which can be viewed as many times as you like, all day, every day. And it comprises films, TV shows, series and children's content. And we can use it to show a film in the hall if somebody's personal account is used. Now, we've been using my account, and I pay around £8 a month for my own personal use. In truth, I rarely use the service. It's mainly for entertaining visiting grandchildren. So what does Netflix say about Film Club? The Netflix service and any content accessed through the service are for your personal and non-commercial use only, and may not be shared with individuals beyond your household unless allowed to by your subscription plan. And you agree not to use the service for public performances. So Netflix realises that it will be losing revenue if people are watching its films, but only one of the audience is paying. Although, of course, it might be the case that other people in the audience also have a Netflix account, that they could have watched it at home, but prefer to sit in an audience with their friends. So it's a messy business. The other way of watching a film is by renting it from Google YouTube. Typically, a film will cost less than £4 for a 48-hour hiring. Interestingly, I haven't been able to find a specific warning from Google that rented films may not be played in public. But I'm pretty sure that this is because I haven't looked hard enough. His Majesty's government has a page on this sort of activity and warns that you need special permissions to show this material in public. And a licence may need to be purchased from local government sources to authorise the premises for such showings. So all in all, what we're doing in the Film Club is to be discouraged if we're to follow the letter of the law. But actually, there is no law which says thou shalt not show a film in a local hall. To do so is not a criminal offence. The police will not be interested. Our film club, and all film clubs, are actually in breach of contract. So we've been told that we shouldn't show a film outside of our house, and we're doing just that, contrary to the terms of the agreement. We haven't signed that contract, and nor have its perpetrators. Nevertheless, it's assumed to exist. And in theory, we could be sued, or the right to have an account with Netflix or Google, YouTube revoked. So is this likely in practice? Well, look, here's what would have to happen. One of the audience members suddenly gets an attack of conscience, and they conclude that this is a moral issue which they can no longer be a part of. But rather than simply absenting themselves from Film Club on these grounds, they decide that Film Club must be stopped at all costs. So they find out who the copyright holder is for the material being viewed, so that's going to be the specific DVD company, or Netflix, or Google. And they also find out how the copyright holder might be contacted, which might be difficult in itself. And they find out the details of the account being used for Netflix or Google, and I really don't know how they're going to do that. And they record details of the date, time and location of the showing, perhaps even getting signed witness statements from other members of the audience. And then they alert all parties with formal letters of complaint. Now, my guess would be that if all this happened, then the U3A or the account holders would get a cease and desist message, and the film club would be disbanded. I just don't see it happening, in truth. That's why I'm relaxed about the situation, even though it's my account being used. As an interesting side note, many people think that we already pay for a license of some sort, which allows the showing of films in the hall. But they're wrong. We do pay for a license. It's the PRS, that's the Performing Rights Society. It's the PRS music license, which allows music to be played in the hall. It's got nothing to do with films. So there we are. I'll just reiterate the conclusion. We are definitely not following the letter of the law. We're in the wrong. But I think it's so unlikely that we could be pursued for this that, as I say, I feel relaxed.